of eye-opening, mind-expanding, revealing common sense discussion for the common sense citizen. Strap yourself in, put your trays in the upright position, remove dentures and loose jewelry, get comfortable, take a deep breath, and come along for the ride. It is time for the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Powerhouse Station WCRN 830, and our affiliates and streaming on the TuneIn app. It's Joe time, baby.
All right, folks, welcome to the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. That's right, March 6th, 2022. I'm Joe Mangiacotti from the Boxdrop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. Here we are, the only weekend day I have left. Yes, it was weird not to get up at 3:30 yesterday morning and be right here behind the microphone at 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning after about 15 years of doing that. So that's okay, because we're bookending the weekends now. Join me every Friday and Monday at 1 o'clock right here on AM 830 WCRN, our affiliate. Same thing, streaming on the same platforms and same way to do it. And Saturday morning, your political talk block is intact. Mike Wade will be here at 7. Peter Blute at 9. We'll take you from now until noontime every Sunday. Cam is flying the board. Good morning, Cam. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
I am good. I slept in on a Saturday, man. Haven't done that.
Yeah, wow.
A long time. Long time. So it was weird. I purposely stayed up very, very late Friday night because I could, which resulted in me actually getting stuck into one of those Netflix movie marathons things. So I was still up at 5:30. Like I could have actually done the show at that point. But anyway, here we are, Sunday mornings, folks. You can join the conversation anytime at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. And don't forget, we have our text line that's up and running, which means you can text the show in real time. And we try to take a look at it while we're on the air. And you do it like you would text anybody else, folks. Not a really difficult thing to do. Just simply text the number 617-297-8388. 617-297-8388, or email what you're doing. Text Joe on the radio at gmail.com. Appears on the same screen. All right. We're live streaming too. If you want to watch it on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube channel, or even Twitch TV, feel free to do so. 508-871-7000. I want to say, very sad, and my condolences to the Massachusetts State Police and law enforcement officials all across the country. Whenever you lose a brother or sister duty, it's very sad. And here in Massachusetts, we had a trooper who pulled over to do her job, to assist a disabled driver on Interstate 93 in Stoneham. And Trooper Tamar Bucci, she pulled over. P. Noonan, I'm sure you see these things all over. Loaded up, I don't know, 100,000 gallons of gas or something, and pushed the vehicle on into the wall and off the road. And she was attempted to save her life, but she expired. And she was 34 years old. She hasn't been a trooper for very long, couple years. The truck driver, though, he was cited for marked lane violation in New Hampshire 2018. He was found responsible for a collision in 2019. And Bucci was killed shortly before midnight on Thursday. The tanker, which is owned, as I said, by P.J. Murphy Transportation, carrying 10,000 gallons of gasoline, that's what it was, forced the impact, pushed Bucci's cruiser off the road. Now, a couple good Samaritans pulled her from the very, very heavily damaged cruiser. A Stoneham police officer who came upon the crash scene gave emergency first aid, including CPR, until EMS arrived, took her to Mass General. She was pronounced dead once arriving at the hospital. Now, the driver of the truck was not injured, and he's been cooperative. He was interviewed by troopers Friday morning. That must have been an intense interview. The woman who was in the disabled vehicle that Trooper Bucci stopped to help She was taken to a nearby hospital for evaluation. Now, Bucci marks the 22nd member of the state police to die in the line of duty. Her death, according to State Police Colonel Christopher Mason, is a reminder that the dangers that police officers face on a daily basis to protect society. He said that the department is devastated by her loss. We are eternally grateful for the attempts of everyone involved to assist Trooper Bucci and to save her life. So again, it's always hard to see a police officer or first responder, firefighters, EMTs, who get into a situation and they lose their life, and then we have the other category. These are circumstances that they understand the risk of when they put the uniform. I grew up the son of a police officer. We understood somehow. We knew every time that things were different with our dad than other kids' dads. And every time he left the house, every time we left him, until the day he died, we would kiss him and say, "I love you." It was something that we did from toddlers up. And now, though, in the last couple of years, there's this whole other element where police are hunted. They're ambushed. They're shot in an execution style. You have troopers sitting in a cruiser like in New York. There was the two troopers just sitting there having a cup of coffee, watching what's going on. We got the trooper in L.A. as she approached her cruiser, shot down in cold blood. We had the officers who responded to a domestic. Same thing. It's a whole different game with that, folks. Whole different game when it comes to that. All right, enough of that. Trooper Bucci, thank you for your service. And again, we got to really acknowledge and thank police officers, first responders everywhere, because every day they go to work, they don't know what they're going to face. A simple respond to a fire could result in an explosion or a roof cave in. Is a million and one ways things can go sideways on any given shift. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Let me jump to the phones. Mark in Worcester has been holding. Good morning, Mark. Thank you for holding on. You look marvelous.
I don't feel marvelous.
Yeah, we're all in it.
Friday morning, I went to get a coffee. Every morning I go get a coffee, right?
Yep.
Whether I buy gasoline or I don't buy gasoline, I get a coffee. So Friday morning, I go to the local where I get my coffee. They also happen to sell gasoline. Price of regular gasoline this time Friday morning was $3.85.9. I'll call it $3.86. Called me a liar for a tenth of a penny, right? I go there this morning. It's $4.099. We'll call it $4.10. Called me a liar for a tenth of a penny. Well, I went to school. That's 14%. That's a 14-cent increase between a gallon for regular. 14 cents between Friday morning and this morning. Not even 48 hours. The federal government, okay, I don't know who's in charge. They got to do something radical. This is not inflation. This is hyperinflation we're talking about right now.
Yeah,
and they got to do something. They got to call a freeze on all gasoline throughout the country, whether it's the president or whoever it is. A freeze. Call up all the big shots at the oil companies and tell them uncap them wells, start pumping. The Keystone Pipeline is back online.
Yeah,
this is unsustainable.
I agree. It's a horrible situation, and a couple things, Mark, we got to really remember is gas had gone up $1 before Ukraine war happened. Anything right there? I know Jen Psaki wants to pretend that this gas out of control all has to do with evil Putin. No, it has to do with the Biden policies and the changes that he made immediately coming into office. Prior to that, we had very affordable gas because the Keystone Pipeline was pumping. We had fraction going on, and we had leases.
We all know that,
right?
This is adding insult to injury and nobody's doing anything about it. Now, let AOC and Ed Markey and Jim McGovern, they're all going to throw a hissy fit if they do something. Let them have their hissy fit. Somebody's got to put on the big boy pants here, and somebody's got to do something.
Yeah.
Quick,
Do you think we have the guy in the Oval Office that's for that right now? Of course we don't.
I don't know.
No, we don't. I'm telling you, we don't. And the thing about it is, right now, we need a leader who tells the noise from these way left, progressive left, and Green New Deal people, chill for a second. We're in a situation here. This whole stopping the Keystone Pipeline had more to do with anti-Trump than it does with any green stuff. We cannot turn a planet of 8 billion people all green overnight. It can't happen. It's not going to happen. We got to bring it in casually, and we've got to incentivize the research and development of green technology. You can't mandate it overnight. It's not going to happen. Plus, on top of this, folks, and Mark, you know this, on top of it, United States of America can't be the only country that does this when nobody else on the planet's doing it. China's not doing it. India's not doing it. Russia's not doing it. Russia was funding, right? Putin was funding the anti-fracking green movement in Europe, in Germany, convincing all of them to do away with natural gas and oil, where they were the largest producers, and they got very little from Russia. He financed all that, got them to do all these changes like they're doing in America. And I'd like to know how much of this anti-fossil fuel movement is being funded by outside of the country. Then now Russia is it. He controls them. He can turn the spigot off, and you can't do it. So our president has to tell the far left green people, relax. You need to take a breather. You're on a timeout for a moment. I am ordering the revamping up of the Keystone Pipeline. I am ordering to 3 words: drill, 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 because the only way that we can combat this is to make us again energy independent as we were the day he took office. Not only that, we were a major exporter of energy when he took office. He flipped all that, rolling into one of the contributive factors of all this. Now, we know this. We've been over this. So the question is, when is he going to do it? And if he isn't going to do it, what can Congress do? Now, hopefully, come January of 2023, when everybody elected in the November 2022 elections are sworn into office, what happens? What does Congress have within their power?
Yeah. In other words, ding, 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 ding. Mitch McConnell, it's time to wake up out of your slumber. It's time for you to get on the bully pulpit and address the American people and tell them what you think should be done instead of sitting in the corner sucking his thumb.
Oh, agreed. I mean, there's also a pretty good chance that Mitch McConnell is not even in charge come January of 2023, right? Maybe.
Yeah, we're talking about right now.
Well, it's not happening. What are we going to? What do we do? We've got to write our congressman. We got to protest. We've got to do something. What is within our power? Because our power does rest really in the ballot box, and unfortunately, we have to wait for elections to come around, right? Because we put these jamokes into office.
I'll end with this. What I just said, right? 24 cents. 24 cents in less than 48 hours. Now, if you're making $100,000 a year, you can take that hit. But a lot of people around here making $35,000, $36,000, $37,000 a year, so like say $17 an hour, and they got to take this hit on gasoline. They can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they can't do it.
And Mark,
it's gonna absolutely kill the working stuff.
Absolutely.
Here in this state.
Absolutely. And don't forget.
Have a good one, man.
Thank you, Mark. Always appreciate the call, man. And don't forget, people, that there's the ripple effect of this too, because if gas goes up, everything goes up, because everything is transported by gasoline in one way or another. So the price of food is going up. I'm watching it. Now, I thank God, family's grown, single guy again. I don't have to feed a bunch of kids. I'm not buying 3-4 gallons of milk a week and 4 or 5 loaves of bread and all of that. Boxed cereal, for crying out loud. Cereal, if you look at cereal, cereal by pound is more expensive than steak. I'm not in that position. I can pick and choose what I want and fortunately choose whatever I want. But when I look at at the gas station, which I'm stopping at all the time now because I don't let the car go low. If I use a quarter of a tank, I fill it back up because, as Mark just pointed out, in a matter of days and hours, it went up 24 cents. So might as well be buying it as cheap as I can get it because I know tomorrow it's going to be up another few pennies. But I pull in the gas station and you're looking at these families pulling and you see the Caravan or the Pilot or whatever the kind of USU family vehicle is with a car seat or two in it. And there's mom. And I can't imagine what she's dealing with when she has to go to the grocery store, or the husband that pulls in and he's got the kids in the car and you see all the sports equipment and they're facing these costs, not just that gas, but the ripple, the food, everything else, right? Furniture has gone through the roof. I'm looking at the price of stuff because I'm still looking at pieces I might want to get. And I bought mostly my pieces that I bought when I moved in a new place this past year. I bought a lot of it before prices went up, and I'm so glad that I did. The same pieces that I bought 8 months ago now are $200 more than I paid for it. So it ripples across everything. The price of fuel is and I don't know how many times I've said this, folks, is the most unfair tax in situation for the middle class working people. It affects them the most direct and the most harshly because the working person, they do not have that option. Right now, we're also at the point where everybody's saying, all right, time to go back to work. Let's go back in the offices. All right, we're going to talk about the mask mandates in Massachusetts here. It's time to go back, right? Let's go back. Well, people are saying, actually, now you're telling me I can go back to the office and I've got to commute 24, 30 miles, 40 miles each way twice a day now. And that's expensive. I'd rather stay at home. Right? When the pandemic first came into scene, what happened to gas? There was such a glut that overnight we stopped going to work, right? Roadways were empty. Smog was lifting. We could see mountain ranges in India that they haven't seen in decades because the fuel in the exhaust and all of that goes with running millions and millions of engines all day wasn't there. Now, just as we're going back to work, the price of gas is going through the roof. There are a lot of people still who like the whole concept and some businesses who have gotten into the remote working thing and they're making it part of their business model now. But there are a lot of companies who said, you know, that was good. It was fine when we had to do that, but we like the office, especially the financial industry and the banking companies. They actually like their people in the office. All right. What say you? 508-871-7000. So we have that situation going on. What are we going to do? We'll slide into this now. Ukraine still relentlessly under attack. The Russians did not honor the ceasefire the other day. Now this morning, just about 20 minutes ago or 22 minutes ago, there was supposed to be another ceasefire for a humanitarian corridor so that people could get out. We'll see whether or not they honor that. They have the largest nuclear power plant in Europe now under the control of the Russians. And now it's reporting that the engineers and workers at the nuclear plant are actually working under gunpoint, that they're being forced to work while Russian soldiers are standing there armed to the teeth. And while they were attacking this, they're saying, stop shooting. If you cause an explosion, you're ending millions of lives. Right? The manager of this plant came out and said, look, if you screw this up, it's 10 times worse than Chernobyl. And Chernobyl was horrible. And it's still horrible to this day. Now, Putin, well, let me stop on Putin. Let me go to Zelensky. So, President Zelensky, which I, like many people in this country and across the planet, we have an incredible respect and admiration for this guy, this actor comedian who may have been elected president as half joke, has really turned into a Churchillian type of person here. He's risen to the occasion. And he had a video conference yesterday for about an hour with 300 members of our Congress and other leaders around the world. And he's saying the same thing. And he's asked for the no-fly zone. And the NATO nations, rather, have said no to this. Now, everything has consequences, and we understand they're saying no because it will inevitably end up with an American or NATO aircraft force and a Russian, and someone's going to get shot out of the sky. And that can be elevated. And Putin has said, you try to implement a no-fly zone, and that's an act of war, and it elevates. Now, does anybody stop for a second and say, oh, Mr. Putin, invading a sovereign nation, that's kind of an act of war. Aren't we already there? But in his demented little Putin brain, he's decided that Ukraine is really part of Russia, and he has every right to annex it back. Now you have to be wondering also, because let's not forget what's going on before he did this in Russia. There was a lot of their economy was already in tough shape. The corruption and the thieving was out of control. There are a lot of members of their government and oligarchs were looking at him for his mafia thuggish ways, for his incredible crookedness and thieving. And so he already had trouble. Some are suggesting that this is part of another kind of sleight of hand, a distraction move. And he really thought, or at least the experts think, that he really thought he was going to be able to take Ukraine as easily as he took Crimea. He would show up in the border, which now we're being told from Russian soldiers, they were never briefed. They were never told what they were actually doing. All of these soldiers that did the military exercises and movements in Belarus, so to the north of Ukraine, were told that they were just doing exercises. And once they're all there and they're set up, then they said, now we're crossing into Ukraine and we're seizing the country. And they're saying, what are you talking about? Right? Reports of these soldiers calling back home, reaching back to their family and saying, we don't want to do this. We didn't know this. We weren't told what we were doing. Remember, this is a situation, they have grandmas in the roadway telling to stand down. And they are going into a land area where they have family. There are cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents that are Russian, that are living in Ukraine, but are connected to some of these soldiers. It's a very weird position to be in for these guys. And then we have this now infamous 40-mile convoy that's barely moving. And we're looking at why. Well, by the way, the Ukrainians have gotten in a good few licks there, a couple missiles and Molotov cocktails and things of that nature. But we've now seen the footage as well that tires have popped, right? They send these hundreds of vehicles without the proper maintenance. So you're taking tires that are hot and cold, running them on a road now, their tires are busting, blowing out. And they don't have a supply of tires with them. As a matter of fact, apparently, according to intelligence, that this convoy was sent out with 3 days worth of food and fuel and a limited amount of ammunition. So now you have this convoy that's been sitting there for about a week. They've run out of food. They run out of fuel. Look at beans and bullets. Number one, right? Invader Country 101, beans and bullets. And then you fill the tank up and you have a supply line to keep it filled up. But we have to take a break here at the bottom of the hour in the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxtrot Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. Hey, let's check this out. Come back on the other side, and we'll continue with your calls at 508-871-7000. I'm Joe Mangiacotti.
We're going to lunch. We're going to lunch? This is Out with Joe. With Joe Mangiacotti.
Actually, honey, we're going to lunch.
Restaurants, food and drink, entertainment.
Put some bacon on a biscuit and let's go.
Now it's time to go out with Joe.
Welcome to this edition of Out with Joe, brought to you by Labonte's Auto School. With 5 locations, click LabontesAutoschool.com to find one near you. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. And this week, Teddy's on the Hill opens in the former Red Hat space. More on this, we invite into the conversation Mark Hurwitz from NECN in Dig, Boston. Hey, Mark.
How you doing, Joe?
Welcome to Out with Joe. So what is going on over there in the old West End and Red Hat, which is, I know, a place you used to hang out a bit, and I did too.
Yeah, well, we had a bit of a scare last June because the Red Hat closed after being in business since 1907. And immediately after it closed, we heard that a new owner, Jake Nicholson, was planning to breathe new life into the space. So he recently opened, in late January, actually, Teddy's on the Hill, which basically it pays tribute to the Red Hat, but also has a refreshing, the menu is a little different, upgraded, and the space was renovated a bit, but they do definitely pay tribute to the old Red Hat.
Well, that was such a mainstay and a landmark for, like you said, I didn't even realize it goes back to 1907.
It's old.
The inside, they didn't do a complete redo. They just freshened it up a little bit, or did they really wipe it clean?
They did a pretty good renovation on it, but they kept it the same style basically as the old Red Hat, and the menu has a lot of the same items that you would see in the Red Hat. So, like nachos, burgers, wings, and of course, beer, wine, and cocktails. But one thing of interest is they're also serving South Shore style bar pizza, which is the only place in downtown Boston where you can get South Shore style bar pizza.
I think for some of our listeners, you have to explain exactly what South Shore style bar pizza is.
Well, it's an individual pizza. It's 9 or 10 inches in diameter, and it's a mix of mozzarella and cheddar cheese that extends all the way to the crust, and you can get it with burnt or laced edges, so it caramelizes along the edge. It's just a little like Greek pizza, but not really. It's really greasy. It's got like almost a shortbread crust, and they're small enough so that you order one and you can eat the whole thing with whatever you're drinking, your beer or whatever. But they're really good, and mostly on the South Shore only.
Well, it's great pub food, right? That kind of pizza is awesome.
Perfect.
All right, and they're going to go after, again, the college students, the medical profession, the politicians. Who do you think? Who are they targeting?
Yeah, I think all the above. And back in the day, the Red Hat was actually catering to all the accountants. There's a lot of accountants who work in that area, but it's going to cater to business people, medical people. People at the State House will be going down there because it's right there. And yeah, definitely people from Suffolk University and maybe Emerson, which isn't too far away. So I'm guessing it'll be a nice mix of people there.
Awesome. And Mark, tell people where they can see your stuff and see your articles.
So I write food and travel articles for both NECN online and also Dig Boston, both online and in print, and that's also food and travel. And also I do work on the Hidden Boston site, which is restaurant reviews. But these days, not much in the way of reviews, so it's kind of on hold right now.
Yeah, we have the same problem here with Out with Joe, not hitting a lot of restaurants. Mark, thanks for stopping by Out with Joe. I appreciate the coverage here.
Thanks so much, Joe.
And thank you for joining us. And for more on this posting and this complete article from Mark, click outwithjoe.com. We've suspended the Music Minute for the time being. Please support your local musicians. We do. Follow us social media platforms at Out with Joe. Out with Joe has been brought to you by Labonte's Auto School with 5 locations, one near you. This find of her home for Teddy's Friends brought to you by Boxdrop Middlesex Mattress Outlet. Today's candidate is Moto. He's a 4-year-old male terrier American pit bull mix, tan and white, and is very much house trained. Moto is an intelligent boy who knows what he likes. Some of his favorite things are strolling leash walks and quiet nights at home. This lovely boy is sweet and laid back and shy side with plenty of good manners and expects the same from both human and dog alike. For Moto, this means taking the time to get to know him. Moto is a gentleman who prefers to exchange pleasantries and go for a walk rather than to chest pump the high five type greeting that more outgoing individuals prefer. He is past that puppy stage and in the prime of his life. Moto is looking forward to living as the only dog in a quiet adult home. Moto's motto is relax and take it easy. If you share the same philosophy, Moto might like to meet you. For more on Moto, click Teddy Goodpup's Facebook page. Pictures and links to the Worcester Animal Rescue League. Find of Her Home is brought to you by Boxdrop Middlesex Mattress Outlet. Click boxdropmiddlesex.com or Facebook at Boxdrop Middlesex.
You're listening to the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Powerhouse Station WCRN and our affiliates. To talk to Joe, dial 508-871-7000, and you can text Joe on air in real time at 617-297-8388, or email textjoeontheradio@gmail.com. And now back to the most interesting man in the world. When he drives a car off a lot, the value goes up. Common sense talk for the common sense citizen.
I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and I'm asking you to now join me Mondays and Fridays at 1 p.m. Our Sunday morning political talk block is still intact, so wake up Sundays, 6 a.m. The Joe Mangiacotti Show. The tradition continues. All right, folks, welcome back to the second half of the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxdrop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. What say you? Or text us at 617-297-8388. It appears on the screen in the studio in real time, so you can try to communicate that way as well. Again, Mike Wade joins us at 7 o'clock, takes us to 9, Peter Bludin, and till 12 noon. So our Sunday morning, as you just heard. Sunday morning talk block is intact. If you missed it, I am not here on Saturday mornings anymore, but I am on Mondays and Fridays at 1 o'clock. So please make a note to join me then. Same show, same format, everything going on, just in the post-meridium here. And we'll look to expanding that as time goes on, folks. Quick note that the mask mandates here in Massachusetts has changed a little as of the 1st, right? So school buses, K through 12, child care, public outdoor activities, and then even the State House. You don't have to wear a mask to go into the State House or show proof of vaccination. You're still free, and this is the thing, you're still free to wear a mask, by the way. You always have been. I mean, long before COVID-19 was ever on the scene here, you would see people, especially people, Asian people, would wear, because it's something that's done on a regular basis, say in China, but even in Taiwan. As you know from listening to this show, I'm very familiar with Taiwan and the culture there. And it's something that's done sometimes. It's just air quality. No one has ever told you you're not allowed to wear a mask. You can wear a mask anytime, any place you want. It's a matter of mandating that you wear a mask when the science doesn't dictate it. So now we see this starting to lighten up. We saw everybody at the State of the Union address without them. There were a couple people. I don't know what those positions are when you have Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, president there, and you look, at the president's seat for the president of the Senate and the speaker, and then there's lower down on each side. On the left was a gentleman, on the right was a lady, and they were wearing masks. They were the only ones I saw, and the gentleman in a wheelchair wearing a mask. Other than that, the entire contingent of the United States Congress, the justices of the Supreme Court, the chiefs of staff, nobody had a mask on in the chamber. So we saw that happening. So the shift has certainly come along here. But we still have certain states and municipalities, for some reason, whatever that reason is, having children still masked up in the school. The least vulnerable safest age group and demographics, they're telling them to wear masks. And we saw the John Hopkins report, and just common sense tells you this isn't good. Wearing a mask, have you had to? I mean, imagine being 7, 8, 9 years old. You got to wear this mask. It's disgusting by the end of the day. It's going to be wet and moist and warm, and God knows what's growing in there by the end of the day. We know that kids need to take facial cues as part of their social development and learning. Right? We have seen an uptick in depression and suicide attempts and suicide, self-harm. We've seen a retardation in the development of school-age children. There has been so much damage caused. When we look back at this, we're going to see this as just one of the darkest times that we made so many mistakes handling this. And we're going to have those people who are going to want to rewrite history, right? They're going to want to say that we were against this the whole time. This isn't what we were for. Watch me. Mark my words. All right, folks, 508-871-7000. What say you? Let me go to the phones. Ken and Bolton's been waiting patiently. Good morning, Ken. Thanks for holding on. How are you, sir?
Very good. And hello again, Patriots.
Hello again, Patriots.
Yeah, I don't think the world's going to be boring. I don't know for the rest of our lives, Joe.
Boring?
Man,
What do you?
there's nothing boring.
Oh, no, not. Did I say? I didn't say boring. Did I?
No. I said,
Oh.
no, what I'm saying is the world is not going to be
Oh,
boring.
God, no.
I think for the rest of our lives, it's just like every day, it's nonstop.
Yeah.
It's,
And we're in for a long set of happenstances going on with this, with between Russia and Ukraine. The Ukrainian people, Ken, they may be able to occupy, but they'll never have Ukraine. They will always be resistance. They will never have the hearts and minds. They will never have the country. They can do things by brute force. They can level buildings and capitals, but you're never going to convince the Ukrainian people to accept this. So he has a long, drawn-out battle here going on, and I'm thinking back to the 80s in Afghanistan when Russia kind of got a tough lesson back then. And President Zelensky, he's just asking, tighten up these sanctions. And I applaud Visa and MasterCard and PayPal for yanking their operations there, right? So now you won't be able to use those services in Russia. Now it's bad for the people, but you have to bring this pressure to bear, don't you? And as far as the no-fly zone, and I understand that the answer to that is because we do not want NATO forces, and God forbid, American aircraft having to shoot a Russian MiG out of the sky. Because if they go against an American pilot, they're going down. But we can take those pilots. They got them, Ukrainian pilots, many of them American trained, get them out of Ukraine, get them into aircrafts. They're out there. They're waiting, right? There's F-22s, F-16s, and the A-10 Warthog, the Thunderbolt, which was an incredibly valuable aircraft in Afghanistan and in Iraq. Look, it's a great low-flying combat aircraft. You throw those Ukrainian pilots in those planes, rip off the American insignia, take the time to throw gold and blue up there if you want, but let them do it. Let them fight their airspace. Give them what they're asking for. Give them what they need, I say.
exactly, Joe, on all those topics. So Sunday being Hall of Fame, Hall of Shame.
Oh, yeah.
I normally start with Hall of Shame, and I'm instead going to go to Hall of Fame because it relates to what you just were saying. It's not an individual this week. It's people, groups of people, two groups of people in specific. Russians who tipped off Zelensky to attempted assassinations. That's heroism. And I'll give you another example to a lesser degree, but likewise, Belarusians crossing the Ukrainian border, young men, to fight with Ukraine against Russia when their president is tied
Yeah.
to Putin.
Yep.
Another act of
Yeah.
courage. I hope they're my cousins.
And Ken, on that note, I mean, there are other fighting age men and women coming from other countries. And UK, Boris Yeltsin, he said, hey, no charges. If you want to go fight for Ukraine, you're not going to face any war crimes, criminal charges, anything of that nature. You want to go, you want to leave the United Kingdom and you want to go there and you want to help, Godspeed. And that's fantastic, because you've got the world is watching and we're dumbfounded, and a lot of us because of, this is really going to be one of the first or the first real social media monitored type war, because we're seeing clips here now, Ken, that we really haven't seen. And it's also, remember, the perspective. In past wars where we've had cameras there, we've had them embedded into our side and seeing what we're doing. But now we're seeing social media or phone video, phone footage from Ukrainians or the people of Ukraine, and unedited, in what's happening to them as it's coming in, right? You've got this video, I've seen it 28 times now, that the gentleman's talking and you hear and he looks up and the building is collapsing above him, right? You see the helicopter, right? They took down the helicopter. So we're watching this, and we're not going, at least I know American people will not have an appetite to watch this a lot and not do anything. And we've got the humanitarian side of it, right? I mean, kudos to Poland. As a subject to the fame here, let's add, people of Poland and other nations who have opened their arms, who have welcomed these refugees in. People are putting posters up and marking in the newspaper, I can take 6 people. Here's my come. We can accommodate 6 people. Come live here, 2 people, 5 people, whatever it is. Right? People are just putting their hand out and doing what they can to help. And that's wonderful to see. But this guy is off his rocker. Now, I know Lindsey Graham kind of did a faux pas by asking, can anybody take this guy out? A sitting senator shouldn't ask for the assassination of the head of state of a nation we're not at war with, technically. But I get it, right? I mean, I get it, And he's going to have trouble. He's going to have trouble with his own people.
Joe, on this topic of all of what we can now see, almost streaming, I watched last night a production called Wendover Productions.
Yeah.
Entitled The Failed Logistics of Russia's Invasion of Ukraine. For people who are into military stuff, I'm not as much, but I learned a ton of information on what's really going on and why it's not working for Russia. Basically, the story is they rely heavily on rail. They use the rail system in Belarus and Russia to set this all up.
Mm-hmm.
But then the logistics, when they actually started, it's been all fouled up.
Yeah.
So people really want to learn a lot. I suggest following that.
It's funny you say that, because Russia's always been, and militarily, somehow, some reason, dependent on the rail systems. And I'm going back to the Cold War years, where they elected to take their nuclear armament and they put them on railways, right? We had trains going all over, crisscrossing Russia, that were nuclear silos and nuclear weapons on these trains. That's how they did it. I mean, we were watching them, right? We had intelligence. We were watching it on satellite. But unlike America, where we, put our silos down into the ground in the middle of cornfields in Nebraska or what have you, and on submarines, they used the rail system for whatever reason. They decided this was the way to go. And I love rail system for traveling. I don't know if you want to limit your military equipment and your nuclear armaments to railway, that they're stuck on a determined route. That's it. And if your enemy knocks out the railway, then you're stuck wherever you're stuck. I mean, to me, it was never the brightest thing in the world, but that's what they did.
The explanation that they give is that it's all government owned.
Yeah.
So they control, everything's about control. I mean, the whole story.
Isn't everything kind of government owned in Russia, though? I mean, that
Right.
doesn't,
Well,
and if it isn't, and they want it, they just take it. I mean, they're the definition of fascism there. Hey, who's on your Shane?
Well, on a entirely different story on the Hall of Shame. I know you've seen him, but you probably don't recognize the name. Eli Misto of The Nation. You've probably seen highlights of him on MSNBC, which I don't watch, but I see, all right, this is how bad they are. Kind of looks like a younger version of Don King. He's got this big white afro.
Okay.
Well, the host of the show just, flat out asked him, well, should we tear up the Constitution, our U.S. Constitution? To which he heartily chuckles and says, sure.
Who is this Jamoke? I mean, what? He's a sports guy?
I'll spell it out to you. E-L-I-E. That's his first name. Mistal. M-Y-S-T-A-L. Check it out.
Yeah, but what's his job? What is he?
He's probably an academic, tell you the truth. I'm almost sure he is an academic because they're the, when you talk about communism, Marxism, it starts at the academic level.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the media and so on.
All right.
But this guy's way, 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 way out on the edge.
Right.
And
I don't know who he is. I'm not a big NBC. I mean, I watch CNN because I need to see what they're doing and how they're presenting, or how, not news, but how they're presenting their storyline. So but I don't really cruise the NBC and ABC news that much. I have been lately since the war, right, to see all the different perspective. But no, I don't know who this guy is, but I'll definitely check him up. But I'm going to have to hold you there because I got lines full.
Very good, Joe.
Thank you, Ken. Take care. All right, folks. Again, Saturday morning edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. And don't forget, I'm back tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, Friday at 1 o'clock. Those are the new hours for the TJM show. Let me go to Rich, who's been waiting. Good morning, Rich. Long time, man. How are you?
Morning, Joe. Yeah, I'm real quick. I'm going to tell you what's going on. I hear you talking about, the price of gas going up, the price every time you go to the pump, the price is going up. Well, let me tell you and your listeners, my daughter filled up with home heating oil last Thursday. Okay, nobody talks about that. I haven't heard you talk about that. But anyways, all right, we have the oil man. Our oil man is a deep discount. He knocks off 14 cents a gallon. My daughter paid $4.45. Without the discount, she'd have paid $4.59. You know what her bill came up for home heating, people? $1,739. Wait for your sticker shock for home heating oil, Joe.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it ripples through everything, right? And you're right. Right now, Rich, people hear that truck, that noise when that truck pulls up in front of your house and the air brakes go on.
Ding, ding, ding.
You get this clench in your stomach and you're like, oh no, okay, what am I going to do here? And people are going to be like running out and saying, look, stop it at 400, stop it at 500 or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But that just means, they're going to have to fill up again. And that means people are going to be turning down the thermostat, right?
Oh, yeah.
Turning down their water heater temperature. When I was a kid growing up, and especially in the winter in New England, right? If you didn't get in and out in like as fast as the Flash could do it.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying, right? Close the door. How many times did we hear, you think I'm my father? You think I'm heating, outside? You think I'm heating New England? Well, shut the door, right? So people are going to be like that, and people are already, calculating their errands, right?
what you gonna do? Yeah,
You know,
gotta
you're not
eat.
going to run down to the store to grab some milk and then run out again later. You're going to sit there and you're going to go, what do I got to do today?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go to one stop, get everything at one time. That's it. The car's not moving again until I have to go to work.
Yeah.
That's
But
we're reverted to thinking like.
Yeah, but like I said, nobody's talking about home heating oil. It's like it's coming. You're gonna have to face you're gonna have to face it pretty soon. Because I just stopped. What time was it? Yeah, Friday, Joe. That was the last time I put my 3 pieces of wood in for one time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be facing the oil man there. It's a good thing I know the guy. But this is what's
You know
going
the
on.
guy, but he can't give it to you for free, or
No, he can't. No, he
or
can't.
give it to you at less than it costs. Yeah, I mean that's wonderful. You know him, but he's getting screwed too because he's got to replace it with more expensive, and that's
Yeah.
why the news of things, folks. Right? Oil and gas, their prices are determined on futures. So even though when you see something happen, you're like, well, why? The guy bought that gas for X amount of dollars. It's already in the tank. No, but the problem is he sells you that. He has to pay to replace it at the new price.
Exactly.
And that's why it immediately goes up at the pumps, folks, is because we're not talking about what he already paid. We're talking about what it's going to cost that business to replace that fuel. And God knows what it will be when he goes to buy 3,000 gallons and put it in the tank, under his gas station.
Oh yeah. But the thing is too, Joe, right? What people don't understand, it used to be you went and you bought your gas on a Thursday because every Friday the gas stations they went up on their prices on Friday because they didn't know what the hell was going to happen for Saturday, Sunday. Now it just goes up willy-nilly anytime they want to bring it up.
Oh, I've seen one price at 9 a.m, and it's a different price at 4:30 when I'm driving by it again in the same day. So it has to go up at some point. But it's crazy. Look, it comes back to this. You got Biden is surrounded by these people who just have this agenda. And part of this agenda, by the way, is that they want fuel to be $7 and $8 a gallon because they want to inflict so much pain on the American people that we cry out for green energy, right? They want to bring us. This isn't a Ukraine-Russian war era thing. This has been a thing for years that they've wanted to raise the price as high as they can to move us off of it or make us use less. And that's just messed up as far as I'm concerned. And anyone who has that type of thought process going on in government should be relieved. Like the Baker guy who got caught on the video call with the Vermont conference, right? And he said that we've done this with businesses. Now we got to bring as much pain to the individuals. Of course, he was let go. But that's here. That was on a state level in Massachusetts.
But the thing we have to understand here, Joe, think about this. They want us to go to electric cars. So everybody have an electric car. We're talking 50 million cars on the road, electric cars. Where the hell do they get the energy from? Solar panels?
That's the other part of this. Rich, that's the other part of this that it's just, I'm dumbfounded again when people start talking. It's like, okay, say we could do this magically overnight. Everybody's, at least one of the cars sitting in your garage or your family driveway overnight, right? Fleets of trucks come out, switch those cars out. You wake up tomorrow morning, everybody has an electric car. Okay. Where are they going to all charge? So you got to all charge them at the house, which means you got to actually, unless you want to go with the traditional, plug that you plug your light into, which takes 9 times as much to charge. You've got to have the special 220 charger installed and the meter and all that. Then you got the charging stations, but you don't have enough of them. But the real question is, where the hell do you think the electricity is coming from? Where is it coming from? It's coming from coal plants and nuclear plants.
Exactly.
So green cars aren't green. Let's get that straight.
And the batteries, when the batteries
are toxic as all heck.
You're talking about $5,000-$6,000 for batteries. But the other thing too is what people don't realize: when you charge your car, it's $15 a charge. Think about that, people. What are we looking at here for a bill at the end of the month when,
Well, yeah.
when you get your electric
And a
bill?
charge, and you're getting what, 180 miles? I mean, I guess there are some cars getting over 200 or up to 300, but those aren't.
Yeah.
Those are the better the charge and the more efficient the car is, the more expensive the car is. But when you got people like Kamala Harris and so forth saying the simple solution to all this is just go out and get an electric car. What is wrong with you people? Who can just do that? Look, it's. I would love to see electric cars all over the place, but it has to happen over time, right? Charging stations have to come up organically. And back when combustion engines were coming on the scene and cars were being made, it was the private industry that saw the opportunity to build gas stations. And by the way, these are also the days. Who do you think put the initial roads in? It wasn't the government. It was businesses that put roads in so commerce could happen between communities. It wasn't the government. It wasn't until later that we got the interstate highway system and so forth. But it was always done, which always killed me when we go back to this whole, you didn't build this. Well, actually, we did. The private industry did. It was businessmen and commerce that did it. But, Rich, I got to hold you there because we're out of time for the Saturday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxtrot Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. Mike Wade up on deck coming in after the break. He'll be in here. Teddy Goodpup and I probably hang around a little bit, but hey, you know the number, 508-871-7000. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, folks, and stick with us. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and I'm asking you to now join me Mondays and Fridays at 1 p.m. Our Sunday morning political talk block is still intact, so wake up Sundays, 6 a.m. The Joe Mangiacotti Show. The tradition continues.
WACE Chicopee and WCRN Worcester.
7 o'clock.
If you were to ask any retiree